Welcome into Her Game Plan, where we play the field and own the game. I'm your host, BK, and welcome into a podcast where we break down the NFL basics for the girls, and welcome to the first episode with my new friends, my bangs. If you don't like them, I'm sorry, because I love them. But let's get right into it, because we have a lot to talk about from week 9. It was absolutely explosive. And it was explosive in a lot of different ways, but there's 4 examples I'm going to give you. Started out Thursday Night Football with the Texans and the Jets, and it was not an exciting game that first half. But man, oh man, when Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the Jets, made that catch, literally like in the back of the end zone, he looked like the Jordan symbol, like the Michael Jordan symbol. It was ridiculous. How did he get 2 feet in? I don't know. How did he catch the ball with one hand? I don't know. To me and my own person, granted, guys or women who have watched the NFL for a long time might not agree, I think this is the best catch I've ever seen in the NFL. Period. Done. Zero. Zip zilch. Moving on to Saturday, I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw this college guy, score a touchdown, and he celebrated, which in college you can't do. They throw a flag, and they threw a flag on him. But he did this headstand. He literally popped on his helmet and stood upside down. And I was like, haha, that's funny. Sunday rolls around. Not one, but 2 players did the headstand celebration. One being Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Drake London, and another player being Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. And it's funny because they went to college together at USC, and so I was like, oh, wow, they're bros. I think alike. It was absurdly insane. I loved it. But then not only that, Saquon Barkley, you sick man. To be an athlete and to run, and you're dodging and weaving people, 300-pound men running at you, trying to tackle you, bobbing and weaving. You turn around and you hurdle someone backwards and are successful? I'm sorry. That is not human-like. That is not real. You are a superhuman. And I think everybody can agree with that. Also, yesterday was the trade deadline in the NFL at 4 p.m., which is why the episode is coming out a little later today, because I wanted to record all the new and fresh news for you so I didn't miss anything. If you saw my TikTok last week, I literally said something in the recording of the podcast, and then an hour later, it came out and said that it was true. Joe Flacco and Stephon Diggs. It was just the timing. Timing was not on my side there, but today it will be. We're going to talk about the trade line. We're going to talk about going behind the playbook. We're going to flag it, and we're going to fumble. But first, we're going to get to football fundamentals. So welcome in to Football Fundamentals, the segment where we break down what is going on the field so you can better understand the NFL and therefore enjoy watching it more. Because I think if you know more about it, you enjoy it more. Last week, we talked about the timing of the game, different rules, different strategies, and we are going to get more into that today, get a little bit deeper, because there are some things that we didn't discuss last week that we did see in week 9. So let's get into it. First up is clock management strategies. So these are different things that you can do to manage the clock to hopefully help you win the game. And there's different strategies with this. 1, end of half or game situations. So teams use timeouts and the play clock to manage the game clock effectively, especially in close games. So if your team is ahead, they might let the clock run down to prevent the other team from getting more chances to score. We saw something like this in the Chiefs and Bucks game on Monday night. I will get into that a little later, not diving into that now, but if you're ahead, you want to let that clock run out so then they have less time to score if any time at all. So there's one strategy. Another strategy is the 2-minute drill. I've talked about this a lot. I think there are really good teams in the NFL that do this really well. So the 2-minute drill, if your team is behind with only 2 minutes left, they'll try to move quickly, use short, fast plays while trying to get it out of bounds to stop the clock. One quarterback really good at this, Patrick Mahomes. He is really efficient with a 2-minute drill and is able to move down the field fast and aim towards, the sidelines, because if a player steps out of bounds, what happens to the clock? It stops. Correct. Another player that's really good at this is Jared Goff. We've seen it time in and time out. And then we've also seen it with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield just did it on Monday Night Football with 24 seconds left on the clock. Ridiculous. So there are a lot of different strategies that you can do within the 2-minute drill, but basically it's just being a fast-paced offense to get down the field to score within that 2 minutes. And one last strategy that I'm going to tell you about is kneel downs. You see this a lot at the end of the game. If there is the team that's winning gets a first down and they can kneel it 3 different times because the game clock is 40 seconds and they can run out that clock, they're going to win the game. So basically the quarterback just kneels down, they move back a yard, but ultimately just runs a play to run out the clock to therefore win the game. Now, I'm going to give you some key rules that affect the clock. One is spiking the ball. So the quarterback can throw the ball straight into the ground to stop the clock. It's like pausing the game for a moment. You'll see that sometimes when, in that 2-minute drill, they are running a fast-paced offense, no huddle, but they need some time to recuperate. They got the first down. They run down to the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback will quickly get the ball from the center and spike it, and then the game clock runs again. They have a second to huddle and kind of figure out what their next steps are. And obviously, we've talked about this. Another key rule to clock management is getting out of bounds. So you'll see that when things are moving fast, quarterbacks are really trying to make sure that their playmakers are along the sidelines. So when they throw that ball or when that running back is running up that outside route, he can get out of bounds to stop the clock to help them, give them more time. All right, we've learned all about clock management. So now I'm going to give you 2 different illustrative examples. So example 1, 2-minute drill execution. Imagine your team is trailing by 4 points with 2 minutes left. The quarterback leads a fast-paced series of plays using the sidelines to stop the clock after catches. Quick, short passes and running out of bounds becomes crucial. The team aims to preserve their timeouts for the more critical moments. So they want to make sure they hold on to those timeouts. So if they can't stop the play, they're able to use that timeout. So in girl terms, this is what this means. Imagine you're at the mall and the store is closing in 2 minutes. You quickly grab the items you want, avoiding long lines, and head straight to the checkout. I can't talk. Check out. Good lordy. The football team does the same using fast plays and running out of bounds to save every single second. So basically, you want to execute as much as you can in that 2 minutes to make sure that you get the things that you want at the store, or 2, you score the points in the football game to win. Another example for you, strategic timeout usage. With 1 minute left and your team on defense, the opposing team is driving down the field. Your coach calls a timeout to give your tired defense a breather and to strategize how to stop the next play or potentially preventing a game-winning score for the other team. So in girl terms, think of your favorite TV show's finale. If it's getting super intense, you might want to pause it, grab some snacks, or discuss predictions with friends. In football, coaches call timeouts to give players a break and plan the next crucial play. So the clock management in the NFL and in football in general is crucial to winning games. If a team does not know how to manage the clock, if a coach does not know how to manage the clock, winning's not going to be on their side unless they score a massive amount of points. So now you know all about clock management. You can see the clocks on the screen. You can see the clocks when you're at the game, the actual clock of what game is left, the play clock, when they call timeouts, the 2 minute drill, going out of bounds, you name it, you know it. So now it's time to go behind the playbook. Welcome to another segment of Behind the Playbook, where we break down the gossip, the drama, all the things you need to know about Week 9 going into Week 10 of the NFL. Therefore, you can be the mastermind in the room and you can know everything that's going on and you can impress the football-loving people in your life. The biggest thing I've got for you today is the trade deadline. So let's get right into it. The first team to make a big trade, well, not the first team to make a trade, but one of the teams to make a trade was the Detroit Lions. They acquired defensive end Zadarius Smith from the Browns along with a 2026 7th-round pick, and they traded away a 2025 5th-round pick and a 2026 6th-round pick. They didn't spend a lot, but they got a piece that they were missing from their defense due to Aiden Hutchinson and his gruesome injury earlier this year. Smith is a prototypical plug-and-play rental, still offering quality pressures at the age of 32, and has 20.5 sacks over the last 2.5 seasons. So he is going to be efficient on a defense that is already efficient, losing their star player. Good job, Lions. Big fan. Big fan. And there was another defensive player that was traded. This one was a huge one. Washington Commanders acquired cornerback Marshawn Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. They got Lattimore along with a 2025 5th-round pick, and they traded away a 2025 3rd-round pick, 2025 4th-round pick, and 2025 6th-round pick. They did have to spend up a little bit, but it's because Marshawn Lattimore is pretty damn good at what he does. Pretty damn good at it. Washington is rightly upgrading Dan Quinn's secondary now that Jaden Daniels has made a surprise contender out of the team. The question is Lattimore's durability. His price tag here is fine as a former star, but only if he stays healthy, which he has struggled to do within the last 3 seasons with the Saints. But if he does stay healthy, this is dangerous for the Washington Commanders. I've got 2 more for you. There were a lot of different trades. There were some offensive pieces and some defensive pieces, but to me, these are the 4 biggest trades that I think that you could throw out during Week 10 in the NFL that they're like, people would be like, okay, yeah, she knows what she's talking about, because you do. Next trade is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got wide receiver Mike Williams from the New York Jets. They acquired Williams for only a 2025 5th-round pick. Pittsburgh was searching far and wide for a wide receiver, and they finally got a sidekick for George Pickens, who's older, a little injury prone, and failed to catch on with the New York Jets, but he will pair well with Russell Wilson as they are both vets. I think this is a good home for Mike Williams. And the last one I have for you is the Bengals. They acquired running back Khalil Herbert from the Chicago Bears. They got Herbert for only a 2025 7th-round pick. So their running back room is a little scarce. They lost Joe Mixon last year as he went to the Houston Texans. They got Zach Moss, but he is now on the IR and out for the rest of the season with a neck injury. And they do have sophomore running back Chase Brown, who is popping off, but you can't run your squad with only 1 running back. So acquiring Khalil Herbert will kind of give that reassurance for the Bengals, and I do think that is a good and safe move for Cincinnati. Honestly, not as big of deals that I thought were going to come out. I thought there could have been a little bit more drama, but it's fine. I'll take it. We've got some trades. We got some things to talk about. So Zadarius Smith to the Lions, Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders, Mike Williams to the Steelers, and Khalil Herbert to the Bengals. Those are your names to remember and names to bring up in Week 10 if you want to impress. Also, there is a huge dumpster fire in the NFL right now. Huge dumpster fire of a franchise, completely on fire. Nobody knows what's going on. What is going to happen with this team? And it is the New Orleans Saints. They broke up with their head coach, Dennis Allen. After winning the first 2 games of the season, they lost 7 consecutive games. And the Saints said no longer, Dennis Allen, goodbye. See you later. But that's not the only thing that happened with the Saints this week. junior wide receiver, and remember, I'm saying junior. This is his third year in the league, like a junior in high school, junior in the league. Get it? Got it? Maybe good. Junior wide receiver, Chris Olave. He came out of Ohio State and is a first-round pick and was hot. Like, everybody had all eyes on Chris Olave. And then he went to the New Orleans Saints. They're like, maybe they can, like, still use him. And they did the first year, and they kind of did last year. And everybody has been waiting for it this year. But he has been suffering from concussions. Well, on Sunday, his quarterback, veteran quarterback, Derek Carr, led him into a scary situation. And when I say led him into, the quarterback throws the ball to a wide receiver and, they have to catch it. Well, your quarterback leads you in a way that you want to go score. He threw the ball to Chris Olave and he tried to catch it with two defenders coming at him from both ways, ended up crashing into him. Chris Olave fell to the ground and was unresponsive. He suffered from another concussion. I believe this is his, let me double check. This is his third documented concussion since being in the NFL, and this is his third year in the league, so obviously not a great thing. But when you're unresponsive right from the get, they had to cart him off the field. Now, granted, he's moving in his extremities, he's talking, he's responsive, but moments like that are very scary. So New Orleans, gotta figure it out. You're a dumpster fire. Now let's talk about bye weeks. We have 4 teams on bye this week. We've got the Cleveland Browns. They're taking a rest. Green Bay Packers. Good riddance. Take a week off. Las Vegas Raiders. They need it too. They need a break to figure out what's going on over in Sin City. And the Seattle Seahawks will take some time to go on vacation and try to come back to win the NFC West title. Now that we've got the news covered, we talked about the dumpster fire, we talked about bye weeks. Let's get into your Week 10 one-liners. You can use these to impress the football-loving people in your life while watching any game in the NFL in Week 10. I do this in 3 different levels: beginner, intermediate, and expert. Your beginner one-liner, we're just going to talk about the dumpster fire of the New Orleans Saints and use it for our beginner one-liner this week. And you can say this when you're watching any NFL game to spark some conversation. At least our team is better than the Saints this year. Done. Because you remember at the beginning of the season when I was like, your beginner one-liner is, are the Saints actually good? The answer to that is no. No, they're not. Maybe you can even bring that up to spark some conversation. Moving into our intermediate one-liner, the Chargers become the 6th team since 1990 to surrender 20 points or fewer in their first 8 games of the season. Mind you, they have a winning record. They are 5-3, and they've only scored 20 points or less. So when you're watching any game in the NFL in Week 10, to spark some conversation, here is something you can say for your intermediate one-liner. At least our team has scored more points than the Chargers this season. They haven't scored more than 20 points in a game, and they have a winning record. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And your expert one-liner, we've got the Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson had another near flawless performance and a perfect passer rating, throwing 16 for 19 for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns as he continues to track towards his 3rd MVP title. So, your expert one-liner is this: do you think Lamar Jackson earns his 3rd Most Valuable Player award this year? Alrighty, let's get into the matchups. We've got Thursday night football this week, and it is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. This is an in-division matchup. Which conference and division do these teams belong to? Not NFC, so AFC. If you said AFC North, you are correct. Now we're going to talk about Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. He threw for 5 touchdown passes for the first time in his career. Now granted, I wrote that and I was like, is that true? I Googled it. It's true. And I Googled it again because I wanted to make sure. Double check. Always double check. It's true. Now, speaking of career games, for Lamar Jackson, this is the 4th time in his career that he has aced a QB rating, and it's a new NFL record. So now let's talk about what this game means for both teams. The Bengals probably aren't in contention to win the AFC North this season, but they have dug a deep hole for that, right? They're probably not in contention to taking the title. However, Cincinnati can really use a win in order to keep its playoffs hopes alive, while Baltimore is battling with Pittsburgh for the top spot in the division. So this is a playoff intensity game. So when you're watching Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime with the Bengals and the Ravens, here are your one-liners. 1, do you think the Ravens win the AFC North? Valid question. 2, can the Bengals really make the playoffs after the year that they've been having? A down year. Rightful question. 3, both of these quarterbacks are coming off of career performances, which is also true, and those are your one-liners for the Bengals and Ravens game. Moving on to our Sunday 1 o'clock slate, we've got 2 games for you. There's a lot of good matchups this week, so I'm going to try and go faster so I can get through all of them with another segment to go and still keep this a pretty good timed episode for you. Anyways, I'm wasting time. San Francisco 49ers, they are 4-4, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 4-5. Probably the 2 NFC teams that have been hit the most by the injury bug this year, and last year they were both playoff teams. San Francisco went all the way to the Super Bowl, and the Bucs lost in the second round to the Detroit Lions. Anyways, 49ers are coming off of a bye week, so their players will be well rested, and they've activated Christian McCaffrey off of the IR, and he will be practicing this week to hopefully play on Sunday. And as a 49ers fan, you got to be excited. As a football fan, I'm excited to see one of the best running backs in league history come back and play and hopefully stay healthy, right? Now, the Bucs just came off of a very hard loss against the Chiefs in overtime, all thanks to that stupid overtime rule. Baker Mayfield comes back within 24 seconds to go in regulation and scores a touchdown to tie it up. They go to overtime. They flip that stupid coin, and guess who won the toss? The Chiefs. You can literally see Baker Mayfield when they lose the toss. He goes, fuck. Like he's mad because Patrick Mahomes is great under pressure. And the Chiefs went down and scored a touchdown, and the Bucs didn't get a chance to rebuttal. They are out for blood this week. So when you're watching the 49ers and the Bucs game on Fox, here are some one-liners that you can drop. 1, a feel for the Bucs. They do not feel like a 4-5 team. Valid. 2, both of these 2023 playoff teams have had major injuries this season. Also true. 3, Christian McCaffrey is back on the football field. So good to see him, which everybody in the league is just happy to see Christian McCaffrey back. And those are your one-liners for the 49ers and Bucs game. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 6-2, going up against the Washington Commanders, who are 7-2. Both of these teams are surprisingly leading their divisions at this point in the season. Nobody expected the Steelers to be leading the AFC North, and nobody, including me, expected the Washington Commanders to come out and dominate the NFC East. Absurd. The Steelers continue to win games. Most people don't expect them to win. And Mike Tomlin's decision to start Russell Wilson in their last 2 games has looked to be a genius move thus far. I was hating on it. Why would you take Justin Fields out when he started the season 4-2? That's dumb. Why would you do that? Blah. Well, Russell Wilson is popping off. So I'll bite my tongue on that one. Meanwhile, Jaden Daniels is in the midst of one of the best rookie seasons at quarterback we've ever seen, as they now lead the NFC East 7-2. Literal dude is putting up a campaign for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Most impressive rookie I've seen since watching the NFL intensely. So when you are watching the Steelers and the Commanders go at it on Sunday, here are your one-liners to impress the football-loving people in your life. 1, crazy to think that these 2 teams are at the top of their divisions. 2, Russell Wilson may have been the move for the Steelers, but we'll have to see up against a strong Commanders team. 3, Jaden Daniels is a shoe-in for Offensive Rookie of the Year, right? That is a valid question. Those are the one-liners when you are watching the Steelers and the Commanders. Alrighty, moving on to the 4 o'clock slate. I've got one for you here, and it's the 6-2 Philadelphia Eagles going up against the not-so-America's team, 3-5 Dallas Cowboys. Take that. Gosh, I hate the Cowboys. Anyways, Eagles, Saquon Barkley. That's it. No notes. I don't have any notes for him. If he continues to play at the level that he is, he will single-handedly put that team on his back and carry them into the playoffs. It is astounding what he is doing. Now, as for the Cowboys, I have so many notes. One, Dak Prescott is out for possibly multiple weeks with a right hamstring injury. If you saw him on the sideline of the Falcons game last week, he literally says, excuse my French, I am saying this to reiterate what Dak Prescott said. He said, we fucking suck. The leader of your team said that you suck. Do you want to play on that team? Do you want to go win games? I don't know. And also, CeeDee Lamb, star wide receiver, sprained his AC joint in his right shoulder after he was injured in the second half against the Falcons. Lamb has missed only one game in his career due to injury, and people are saying he's going to play, but it's going to hurt if he plays. Mind you, both Dak and CeeDee signed an extension this year. Sucks. When you are watching the Eagles and the Cowboys game, here are some one-liners that you can drop. Do you think the Cowboys will fire their head coach this season? Do you think the Cowboys will make playoffs this season? Do you think the Cowboys will make any moves this season? Or should they just go on to the next season? Just question the Cowboy season. See where that takes you. 2, Saquon Barkley is a insanely great running back. Did you see that back hurdle last week? Did you see that reverse hurdle? If you didn't, you should go watch it. We've been waiting all day for Sunday night, and I am impatiently waiting right now on Wednesday because it is the 7-1 Detroit Lions going up against the 6-3 Houston Texans. The NFC leaders, Detroit Lions, are now 7-1, and it is in part because Goff was once again super freaking efficient. Even in Green Bay's reign, Goff's 82.8 completion rate and 140.1 passer rating are both league records over a 6-game span within a season. Jared Goff chants should break out across the country because this man does not get the credit that he deserves for what he's doing for this team. It's insane. Over that same stretch of time, Detroit has 28 touchdowns. Here, 28. You see that number? Hear it? 28 touchdowns. And 24 completions. 2 of those completions don't even come from Jared Goff. They come from Hendon Hooker. Put some respect on Jared Goff's name right now. And I know most of the people listening to this are Jared Goff fans, but if you're not, get on the frickin' train. It's about time. Now let's talk about the Texans. The 6-3 Texans were depleted without Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, and they played like it up against the New York Jets. They lost 21-13 on Halloween. It was kind of a icky loss. Joe Mixon will carry much of the load for Houston here in this game, but Nico Collins should return. He's practicing, so this could be dangerous for the Detroit Lions, but I ain't worried. Bring it on, Texans. So when you are watching the Lions and the Texans game on NBC, here are some one-liners you can drop. The Lions should make their way to the Super Bowl this year. True. 2, Jared Goff should be up for MVP with his stats. He's nearly perfect in 6 games. Also true. 3, Sonic and Knuckles are coming out to play. If you don't know who Sonic and Knuckles are, Sonic is Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back for the Detroit Lions, and Knuckles is the other running back, David Montgomery. They've given themselves their names, and I fuck with it. 4, do you think the Texans will improve now that Nico Collins is potentially back this week? And those are your one-liners for Sunday Night Football. Now we've got Monday Night Football, and it is a weird matchup, but I think will be an entertaining one. The 2-6 Miami Dolphins going up against the 4-4 Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Dolphins have suffered 2 losses since Tua's return from injury, but they've been 2 close losses, so I'd be intrigued to watch this game. Rams, they're on a 3-game winning streak, and you better hope that Puka Nacua can keep his hands to himself this week. He better be listening to Selena Gomez all week. Can't keep my hands to myself, because he needs to. Anyways, when you are watching the Dolphins and the Rams game on Monday, here are some one-liners that you can draw. 1, do you think Tua makes his comeback of the season in this game? Maybe. 2, I think the Rams could win the NFC West this year. It is one of the most competitive mid-divisions this year because all the teams in that division are struggling. So I think anybody could come out and take the title. 3, Puka has to keep his hands to himself this week because he wanted to throw punches at somebody's helmet. Puka, come on. Use your thinker. Those are your one-liners for Monday Night Football. So we went behind the playbook, and now it is time to get into our fairly new segment, which hopefully you enjoyed last week, Flag It or Fumble. Welcome into Flag It or Fumble. I enjoyed this segment last week, and I hope that all of you girlies did too. Basically, in this segment, we're going to break down the hottest takes and trends in the NFL. I'll give my opinion, my verdict on whether we flag it, keep it, or fumble. Get rid of it. So let's get into our first hot take. 1, more teams should use running back committee as an approach. The running back by committee approach means that a football team is using multiple running backs throughout a game rather than relying on a single player to carry the bulk of the workload. I'm going to give you my verdict right now, and I'm going to flag it. And it's simply because of one of the best running backs duos I've seen, and thankfully they're on my team because I wouldn't want to go up against them. Sonic and Knuckles, better known as Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. By embracing a running back committee approach, teams can enhance their offensive strategy, improve player health and longevity, and maintain a high level of performance throughout the season. Basically, when you're not putting all the heat on one person, they can come in and out of the game, save their energy, save their health, prevent themselves from being injured, and they are really, they're really good at what they do. We sent David Montgomery all the way down that first drive in Green Bay because we wanted to tire out that offense. We brought Jahmyr Gibbs in when we knew that they were tired and he was going to sauce them up by running because he's fast. And David Montgomery, he's big, right? Flag it, running back committee all the way. More teams should adapt this approach. All right, our next one is a trend, and it's artificial turf. Basically, from high school stadiums to NFL stadiums, there is artificial turf that the players are playing on. And I'm going to give you my verdict right now. We're fumbling the bag on this one, and I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. First reason, injury rates. Studies and players' testimonies have shown that artificial turf can lead to higher incidence of non-contact injuries, particularly in the knees and ankles. Stephon Diggs, ACL tear. Unlike natural grass, turf doesn't give the same natural give, and that firmer impact can cause serious injuries like ACL tears, and that's devastating for a player's career. The second reason is the long-term effects. The repeated hard impacts on the artificial turf can contribute to chronic joint pain and a lot of joint problems, bone problems because of that impact. We're talking about pain and mobility issues that can haunt players after they've hung up their cleats. So we're not just talking about playing in the actual football field, on the field, during their career. We're talking about longevity throughout their entire life. The impact on their body by playing football, 1, is already lifelong, but 2, that turf can impact it even more. And also, you just want to make sure that players are on the field playing out their dream, playing their job, right? They need to execute their job. That's what they're being paid to do. But if they're on the IR or they're trying to recover from injuries because of turf, is it really worth it? It's a fumble. No go for me. Alrighty, and our third trend or hot take is a fan submission. I will be posting on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get these submissions. Thank you to the few of you that submitted. Please don't be afraid to submit your hot take, because this is a conversation and this is a safe space. All right, I have a hot take fan submission. It's submitted from TikTok by William Rama, at William Rama. I think I'm saying that right. His hot take is that the Baltimore Ravens don't win their division this year. My verdict? I'm flagging it. They're making playoffs. They're making it in the wild card round, right? They're a wild card team. I don't think that they will take the division, because I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are more consistent than the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have to put up a battle with the Steelers for the crown. And although Lamar Jackson is the lead MVP candidate right now, his whole team has to be consistent, as the Steelers have been this year, and it hasn't looked that way, although there is a whole half of the season left. The Steelers are winning games that they shouldn't be winning, which just goes to show that people are putting up a fight for a playoff run this year, and the Ravens will have to continue to compete with them all season long. So I agree with you, at William Rama. I don't think the Ravens win their division. I don't think they take the AFC North, but they do make the playoffs. I know this was a longer episode. We had the trade deadline. We had some news to talk about. We had some hot takes. We had some good games. And I will tell you right now, I may not have been the most well-spoken in this podcast episode, but I did this show in nearly one take. And it's because I have to edit it and put it up for you guys, because I want to make sure that we are on a routine, we are on a schedule. Wednesdays, we wear pink because it's her game plan, and that's when it drops. And I want to thank you all so much for continuing to listen to all of my crazy ideas, all of my crazy thoughts about the NFL. I love teaching you guys. I love having a conversation. Head to social media, hit that follow button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like, comment, share, get your friends involved, because we are only in the beginning of what could be something amazing. So thank you all so much. Remember, this is her game plan, where we play the field and own the game. I will see you ladies next week.